The AM show today has launched a campaign to provide free school lunches in all New Zealand schools, working on what you've obviously provided with your program that you've rolled out, and also before then Kids Can and Eat My Lunch. Why don't we do this, Prime Minister? Because there are some schools on waiting lists and they're missing out. All kids should have a fair start in life, surely. So
we've reached and we used information to establish which schools we went into based on where we saw the most need. And so about a quarter of kids now are being reached. We got up to 10 million lunches, almost 1,000 schools. So those numbers are pretty significant. But for us, Duncan, it's just a matter of prioritisation. You know, I'm principal. I don't have a problem with universal lunches. I think it would be fabulous if we could, but we do have limited resource. We simply can't do it for everyone. We've done it for those we know it will make the biggest impact, but absolutely acknowledge that there will be families who are in need in sometimes higher decile schools that we won't be reaching. There are sometimes in some of those schools alternatives, but at the moment we're reaching as many as we can and we are making a difference.
Have you costed what it would be to go right across the board?
No, but it's in the hundreds of millions to do what we're doing now.
Right, and so it would be, again, hundreds of millions to extend it.
Indeed, it absolutely would. And so, you know, during the COVID, we used, as part of our COVID response and recovery, we extended the scheme. That was both an acknowledgement of, you know, the success we were seeing from that first part of the rollout, the acknowledgement that there was more need and it would likely grow because of COVID, but also job creation. We've seen almost 1,000 jobs created out of the scheme, and that for me has been another big win of this program. Seeing those jobs, you know, sometimes they will be part-time roles, but often will be perhaps roles that will be in keeping with school hours, so provide opportunities locally, and that's been a positive spin-off from this program too.
So isn't that a policy that ticks all the boxes then going into the next election? You feed all the kids, it's uniform, just like America and the Brits do. You provide employment as well. I mean, it's kind of ticks all the boxes, and here it is for you. Would you support it?
It does, but and I've said in principle that, you know, the principle of universal lunches, which exist in many countries, I personally support, but I have to prioritise, Duncan. It is a quite costly program to roll out. I think worth every dollar for what we're doing now, but I do have to ask myself the question over whether or not that is the next step for us when we're looking to try and target where our need is, whether or not universalism is the natural next step. You know, we know that we still have children living in poverty. When we move into universalism, you do start reaching into pockets where there isn't as much need, and so it's just a matter of priorities.
But we have universality, don't we, when it comes to the winter power arrangements? So, like, for instance, my mum got this winter power payment. To be honest, she wasn't begging for it and probably didn't need it, but she got it, and universality means that lots of people get it. And thank you very much on behalf of my mum, but she would much rather see that money going to some kids who need lunch.
Oh, well, and she actually doesn't have to take it. If she wishes to return her winter energy payment, she can absolutely do that. We have a small number of people, I understand, that don't take it. It is absolutely her prerogative. We do have universalism for our older New Zealanders. That's always been part of our system. We're trying to build it for our younger New Zealanders. We actually do have one universal payment now, the Best Start payment for newborns. So if you receive paid parental leave, you get it after, or you get it for a full year when your baby's born, regardless. We brought that back when we first came into government because we believed that there was a place for universal support for babies in particular.
Well, we'll keep checking in with you to see what progress is being made around this. Just before we go, can I ask you about the Australians?
Keep an eye out for our evaluation of the program because we are undertaking a bit of a look at how well Food in Schools has performed.
And when's that due out?
My recollection is it's a few months away, so I believe later this year.
We'll hold the feet to the fire on this one, don't you worry.